My channel is All right. All right. Ooh. All right. So, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Hopefully, everybody's doing well. Hopefully, everybody's doing good. Um, man, what a time. Whew. Serene duality. What's going on? Hello. Oh man. So, got some stuff that is going on. Dude, a lot of stuff's going on in the game industry. It is insane. But there's a video I saw that I wanted to check out, and then we're gonna get into some Battlefield. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get into some Battlefield. There is some information. Well, not information. There's some stuff. Oh, excuse me. That I wanted to announce. Uh, for those that didn't see the tweet. Good. How about you? Doing all right. Doing good. Mm. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Man, there's I'm seeing stuff about GTA. I'm seeing stuff about PlayStation, like, or not PlayStation, but people are doing the PlayStation blackout, which basically nobody is logging in. Um, sorry. But yeah, like nobody's logging into their game to their consoles. Nobody has it on. Some people unplugged it. And now all that stuff has become permanent. Some are making it a permanent thing, like they're just sorry, I had to charge my controller. Yeah, some of them are just making it completely permanent where they're like not even gonna play anymore. And I'm like, okay, so like if you're not gonna play it anymore, like what's like what's your or not play it anymore, but if you're doing the PlayStation blackout and you're gonna have it as a permanent thing, like what does that entail? Like, did you swap over to PC? Did you swap over to Xbox, Nintendo? Maybe did you like? Are you no longer playing your digital games and and you bought discs? Like, I'm very curious about like how people are going through this. Um, somebody asked me, they say, you got a PlayStation, like are you doing it? I was like, I've been doing it for quite a while. And they said, well, why is that? I was like, I don't have any games on the PlayStation 5. I got my PlayStation 5 like 2 weeks ago. I just don't have the money to buy, like I didn't have the money to buy a PlayStation 5 game yet. It's still in the box. It's not set up yet. Um and all the games I want to, like, all the games that, first of all, for PlayStation 5, all the games I'm going to get are on the disc. I don't plan on using it for online at all. I don't. I really don't. I don't. In all honesty, I don't plan on playing it online because, again, I have PC and then also I do have an Xbox. So, like, if there's a game that is like exclusively to PlayStation, that I'm like, ooh, I'll get it. But other than that, no big deal. Um, there's like some games that people have seen, or some games that people are talking about. Tides of Annihilation. People are talking about. People are talking about Black Myth Zhonghui. Talking about that one. People are talking about. There's Phantom Blade Zero. Like a lot of those games. I was like, damn. Tomorrow, or I guess you say later today, is gonna be is Gamescom. Unfortunately, I'm gonna miss it because I will be doing a sponsor stream, so I will miss it. But when we do like the, I guess when we do like the regular nightly stream, which will be tomorrow, will be midnight as well. We'll go ahead and go over the highlights of the games and stuff. I know people are probably gonna talk about it and stuff. So I think by permanent, many mean until the company actually changes something for good again, or else they'll move over to a different console. I know that I know that they were talking about for like they're just doing it until Sony acknowledges and they say, hey, we messed up, or like, you know, because right now they just they announced the whole going digital in 2028, and then they were like then they just ignored everything else, and then they're like, oh yeah, we came out with a vinyl player, which was a huge slap in the face to everybody. I was like, you're going away from digital games, or you're not digital game, you're going away from physical games and going into digital only, but then you're talking about a freaking vinyl player that plays physical vinyl records. And I'm like, that is crazy. A prime example of this, GTA. Wait. Oh, a prime example of this. The Roblox, to be honest. Roblox. Oh my goodness. Roblox it's they're in a whole different mess of itself, and it's insane. Like I've seen the videos and people talking about it and stuff, and I'm like, bro, it is insane. I can't remember the guy that he's like, there's a YouTuber or TikToker streamer that talks about it and everything like that. He was at a convention with Chris Hansen, and what they did was they actually made a Roblox account. Didn't really do anything. Didn't do anything. They just made a Roblox account, and then they were just chatting with people on Roblox, and then like not even a minute late, like seconds later, they get like that account got banned, and then they refreshed it in front of a crowd too. And this was live. This was like live. And I was like, that is crazy. So like, I mean, Roblox is going down, is dealing with a whole mess of stuff. And I was like, ugh. And here's the problem. Like, the thing is, like, I know there's some people that are in on the whole thing, like the situations and stuff that's going on. If you guys do not know, I'd highly recommend just go and looking it up. But I bet you there are some people that are like, that just working there because like they're working there because like, oh, get to work on a video game, get to make a video game and stuff, not really noticing what is going on. And the thing is, people are like, then there's some that are afraid, like if they leave, they won't be able to find employment anywhere else because like, well, this is a game they worked on. There's a bad reputation with it right now. And then probably because of the amount of experience that they have or the lack of experience, they won't be able to find a job anywhere else. And I know that it's like when people say, oh, well, this job is better. Like if you're really good at your job, you'll land another job, in the industry. That's not really how it works in the game industry. They don't care. They're just like, did you ship a AAA title? And do you have like 3 to 5 years of experience? If you don't, sorry, we're not hiring you at all. Like that is like the big gatekeep right there, and it's very annoying, very, very, very annoying. So, yeah. But I wanted to see this. There's a video here by Alana Pierce. If you guys do not know, is formerly known as Char Alanazard. She was a writer for accessibility writer or something like that for God of War when she worked at Sony Santa Monica Studios. Now she doesn't do that anymore. Now she's doing like voice acting. She's doing writing, working on another game, stuff like that. So apparently the reason why I wanted to pull this up and talk about this one is because people have been talking about this. There's people that have been talking about this on Twitter and stuff, and I've been seeing it over and over, and I was like, you know what, I need to check this out. She has I'm trying to think of the words. people are like people are really bagging on her because apparently she said that she doesn't like the US. But I'm like, in my head, like, a lot of people are just like, when she said that, like, everybody was up in pitchforks and stuff. In my head, I'm like, okay, she's Australian, obviously. But the thing is, like, is it because of the circumstances of what's going on in the game industry over in the US? It's like harder to find jobs and things like that. Is why she's upset about it? Maybe. Like, I'm trying to like find the benefit of the doubt of this, and I could be wrong. I could be right. I could be wrong. But I'm just curious because like a lot of people are really we're really on her about this. So let's go ahead and let's check this out. If you guys do like her content, make sure to drop make sure to sub over to her channel right here. Sub to her channel. And if you guys like the content over here, make sure to sub over to the YouTube channel, or follow the Twitch channel where we're doing all this stuff. So yeah, so this is her channel right here. It says, I asked Japanese game devs why they aren't being laid off, and usually it's like we've seen it where people are like they really value their employees, especially that have been working there for like a very long time, and they want to make sure that they stay. And I think that's why they have overall great consistency when it comes to newer titles that come out, because it's the same, is roughly like majority the same people that are working on that game. So let's check this out. Let's see, make sure I'm muted. Yep. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? Let's go.
Sponsored by Raycon, which means we will have an ad from them somewhere in the middle of today's video. I heard someone ask me on a stream the other day why Asian countries like Japan aren't facing the same truly insane wave of layoffs that the games industry in Europe and North America have been since 2022. We are over 50,000, by the way. 50,000 people have lost their jobs in an industry that is making record money. If you would like a full breakdown of why we're at 50,000, here is a comprehensive video of why.
Basically, people are getting laid off, and even though they're making record money, like how we saw example with EA, that 1,000 people from 1,000 employees from Battlefield Studios were laid off, but then a few months later we hear that CEO Andrew Wilson now, like their profit is $38 million, or like they made $8 million out of the last one. Either they made 8 million or they made 30 million, something like that, totaling out to 38 million. And it was crazy. A lot of people were upset about it. I was upset about it. I'm like, it was off the backs of people that worked hard on making a game, and then because of what's going on, like because of the situation of what's going on in the game industry, they decided to lay all those people off. And now it's like, now that person's like, oh, look how much money I made. It's like, it's so dumb. Now I will say there are some people, layoffs it's kind of a loose thing. It's very loose. The reason loose is being used kind of loosely. The reason why I say that is because people that are like resigning, people that are being fired, because being fired is really bad. If you're getting fired in the game industry, like from a major studio, basically your career is over in the game industry. It's done. Nobody will, I won't say nobody, but it is a very slim to none chance that people would hire you because you got fired. So now they're using a better term, which is laid off, which the original term is the original term for being laid off is, or what qualifies as being laid off is, the studio is not making enough money. Hey, we can't pay you anymore, so we have to let you go, or basically we have to cut you because of something on the side of the studio. Pretty much, that's being laid off. So it's like I want to say it's like being fired. It's them terminating you. Them terminating you because of something they did. If that makes sense. Compared to being fired is like they're terminating you because of something you did. So that's what it is, and that's why usually people have like severance packages and things like that. Things of that nature. So yeah, layoff is so bad, but it's a good thing because it's like, hey, you have another chance of working in the game industry and things like that. May have severance package. Fired, totally bad, career ender, pretty much. So yeah.
Why the games industry broadly is in the position that it's in. But when it comes to Asia specifically, I get why this is confusing, especially because a lot of Western studios, even ones who have faced tremendous layoffs, are owned by Asian companies. Sony is a great example, a Japanese company that recently shut down fairly beloved studio Bluepoint, who were based in Austin, Texas. Bungie, also owned by Sony, but operating out of Bellevue in Washington.
Also, I want to say something about the game industry for Western game industry, especially in the United States. Can we please move some, like, branch out some of these companies, these studios, to to move them to Texas, move some into Florida, like oh my goodness, 50%. Like I thought I saw this statistic somewhere, but like 50% of the game industry is in California, and California has like the highest cost of living, like damn near impossible to live there. I've have colleagues, I even had instructors that told me their experiences of working in the game industry. They said they work at Santa Monica Studios. It's great and everything, but guess what? They have to live in their car, or they have to live hours away in Bakersfield, living in a home that they rented a room from. So it's like they rent a room in the house that belongs to a family, another family staying there. It's like almost like a boarding house, if that makes sense. That's what it's like. I'm like, that is insane. All for achieving your dream, living, wanting to work in the game industry at your dream studio.
Recently lost 300 employees. Riot Games is 100% owned by Chinese mega publisher Tencent. They've laid off just under 100 people this year across the.
Yeah, and also they just recently, like very recently, they just dropped 2KO. They stopped. They announced that they stopped doing the development for 2KO. Ridiculous.
US and Europe. Nintendo has done this. Square Enix did it very recently. It happens across the board. It's happening in other industries too, of course. Giant Japanese pharmaceutical company Takeda Pharmaceutical recently announced plans to cut 4,500 jobs in order to save around 200 billion.
Hold on, Jack. Give me 1 second. Either I'm losing my hearing, or this is very low. I think I'm losing my hearing. Hold on. Sorry. I hear that.
Billion yen annually. Yay for the stock market. And the employees that are being laid off are in Europe. Basically, companies that are headquartered in Asia are still laying people off, just not all that often in Asia. It does also still happen in Asia, to be clear, sometimes. Tencent did just lay up 100 employees from the Shenzhen, China-based studio Timi, I think is pronounced, studio group, who are most well known for mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile and Honor of Kings, for example. But most of the stories that I feel like I hear out of Asia are like...
I think it's because like mobile isn't as popular as they thought, because like people were investing into it, because everybody has a phone, everybody has a tablet. So I think everybody which I think was a good risky move to do, like try to invest into mobile, because again, everybody has a phone, everybody has a tablet, try to make games for it. But typically what people are doing, especially like streamers, content creators, they don't want to play the games on their phones. Usually they use their phones for social media, texting, phone calls, rarely for gaming. So I think what it was that I know for streamers, what they were doing was they would take like the mobile game or whatever off their phone and like connect it to the computer somehow, and like to be able to use the controls, like use a controller or use mouse and key. I know people did it with Call of Duty Mobile with Warzone when it came out. I think that was last year or the year before, and things like that. So yeah, and then people did it with Division Resurgence.
The direct opposite. I'm reading this paragraph from Lewis Gordon at The Verge because they summarized it.
Tokyo Game Show.
It says, in recent years, Japanese companies and studios such as Sega raised salaries by 33%, Koei Tecmo upped wages by 23%, employees at Persona maker Atlus saw their incomes jump by 15%, and Nintendo gave its employees a 10% raise. Most recently, Capcom increased graduate salaries by 27.7%, describing it as an investment in the people who support the future of the company. And all of this is benefiting people specifically.
I really don't like when people say, I hate when people say that. Like when it hurt. It just it pains me when people say it. When companies say this, they're not investing in the future of the company. I mean, how do you invest in the future of the company if you have to constantly look over your shoulder if you are going to get laid off? That's a concern. That's a big one about Western game industry, Western developers in the game industry and stuff like that, or studios. Is that people have to constantly figure out if they're gonna keep their job or not, because job security is very scarce right now. And I don't think not only in the game industry, I'm just using that for an example, but I think it's just work in general in the US. I could be wrong.
Typically in Japan. So yeah, I get why it's confusing. Why are there so many layoffs in the US and Europe, even at Asian-owned companies, when their Japanese counterparts are getting goddamn raises? The reason for this may shock you. Women.
Hey, Scorch, what's going on? Sponsored?
I'm joking. It's actually
no. That's
culture. But let's start with the law
tomorrow.
Which, is honestly really gross.
That's
which
tomorrow.
You'll see when we get into it. But for the purposes of keeping this relatively cohesive, I'm going to largely look at Japan. And as part of that, I did interview Shuhei Yoshida, who is both Japanese and was the president of the SIE Worldwide Studios, PlayStation Studios from 2008.
I'll put out a tweet and everything like that. The people I talked to and everything. We have everything worked out. So, it's gonna be at 12. Well, technically 11. It's gonna be at 11. 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's when I'll be live, and then an hour later is when we go into the segment and everything. Yeah.
To 2019, and two other Japanese games industry professionals who have asked to remain anonymous. The most that I can say is that one is a producer at AAA Studio effectively in Japan, and the other worked at Nintendo for many years, but no longer does.
I miss this Mario show.
We will hear from them right after this ad break. This message is sponsored by Raycon. It is back to school season, and whether you're a student or a parent today...
Sorry, not a huge thing about earbuds. It's just me personally. Yeah.
Phone connection headphones are the perfect back-to-school companion. Click the link.
Sir, I will be asleep.
Or go to Buy Raycon.
Well, you're gonna miss out Gamescom. Not in my stream, because I'll be doing the sponsor stream. But Gamescom is tomorrow.
On .com/CharlesBC to get 20.
Yeah, it's I know it for 2. It starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever that time is from you. Yeah. I'm going to miss it. So I know that following. So after when I do the sponsor stream and then I do like my normal stream at night, my nightly stream, I'm going to just see like what the highlights were for Gamescom. That explains the co-stream email I got. Yeah. I put mine in and I realized I'm like, wait, I didn't convert the times over for the sponsor stream. And I was like, oh crap.
50% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring. Now back to the video. So, Japan has what it is called a legal doctrine of abusive dismissal, which basically says that unless an employer can actually prove that they are firing someone for one of a few permissible reasons, that firing is considered abusive and is thus invalid and illegal. This is a whole process. The firing company straight up has to provide paperwork regarding whatever misconduct and...
Did they always do streams at Gamescom? Yeah. They did it last year. They did it the year before. Jeff Keighley, he's all about it. This man will be like, if you want to stream on TikTok, totally fine. You want to stream on Rumble, totally fine. You want to stream on YouTube? Yeah, cool. You want to stream on Twitch? Obviously. But the thing is, here's the thing, because I did the stream on YouTube and Twitch. The downside is with YouTube is no matter what, they still copyright strike you. And I put in appeals for it and everything. I said, here's all the documentation, here's the emails. I am okay. They said I am good to stream on YouTube. And somehow I'm still getting my videos taken down, but they're like, hey, just warning that there's some copyright material you have in there. It's like, I know. I was told I was good.
An employee may have committed, and there's a whole bunch of things taken into consideration surrounding this. It is a huge deal. Like, what are the damages caused by the employee's misconduct? Does the employee have a history of misconducting. Or
okay.
this is just a one-off thing. To what extent did the employee try to correct their behavior after doing their misconducting? Like, it's not just like they do one thing and they get fired. They legally have to be given second chances, effectively. Again, depending on the actual work crimes committed. You can't even fire someone for just being bad at their job without proving that you tried to get them a job that they might be better at or training them for a different position. As such, there are many examples of Japanese employees being fired, suing their ex-employers, and winning, and as a result being rehired, which has got to be real awkward. Can you imagine? Other countries producing a lot of games right now, like South Korea and China, are of course a little different, legally speaking. They're different countries, but their regulations are ultimately to very similar effect. For example,
Wait, go back. Let me see that. I want to see the one for China.
But their regulations.
All right. So China employment law compliance tip number 1: termination. At the request of many of our multinational clients, we'll be issuing a series of alerts focused on China-specific employment compliance tips. The first tip is on termination and input, an important and unavoidable topic. Okay. Termination. Employers in China should be aware that termination at will does not apply in China. Unlike in some other jurisdictions, such as United States, employers cannot unilaterally terminate an employee without a statutory cause. The applicable PRC employment laws and regulations set out several legitimate causes for unilateral termination by an employer. Examples of causes are employee misconduct, employee job incompetence, and redundancy. This may sound bad, right? What I'm about to say. But it's like, it seems like it's better just to go work in China. Go work in China, like work in the game industry in China or Japan, to be honest. You have more chance of keeping a job there than the US. Just the way how, because it's like it's a hire at will type thing. Also, we have a termination at will, which I think is crazy. There's a 3D model who went to Japan to work there. Yeah. Now the thing is, like, the huge barrier that they have between employment from like somebody that's not from Japan, right, to work in a company and to work in a studio in Japan is the language barrier. You need to have, a lot of them usually are like, do you have a general understanding of the Japanese language, or are you fluent in it? That's the thing. Yeah. So it all depends there. Like, because to be honest, if I can work at any job, if I can work at any studio, Project Aces with Bandai Namco, Project Aces, I would work with them in a heartbeat. I'd fly to Japan, even if I had like a little rinky-dink house or whatever, or an apartment. I will live there and work on the next series of Ace Combat games. I will do that. That is like, I have my dreams of like, one of the greatest dreams which I achieved is having your name immortalized in credits of a video game that you play. Battlefield series. I love Battlefield. Now my names are in the credits. I love it. But being able to work on Project Aces, working on Ace Combat is like, it's way above that level. It's insane.
Are ultimately to very similar effect. For example, a Chinese company recently tried to reassign a worker to a different department, and in doing so cut down their salary, obviously because they can't easily fire people. Reassignment is the next best bet. Specifically in this case, though, they were trying to replace that human worker with AI. The Chinese government has officially made it illegal to replace human workers with AI. You can do that in America, though. Fuck yeah, freedom. Comparatively, it's just real easy to fire people here in the US. The US has what they call an at-will employment system, and it's one of the only countries that operates this way in the entire world. It basically means you can be fired at any time for any reason, and that you can quit at any time for any reason.
Yep. They can just be like, hey, you could be hired. Literally, it could be like this, because we've seen it happen to somebody. Somebody got hired to work at QA, and then like 2 weeks later, they were gone. We were like, what happened to them? Everybody was like, what the heck? Because they were no longer in our Discord and stuff like that. We're like, what happened to them? Like, oh, yeah, they no longer work with us. And we're like, did they get fired or something? Like, something bad happened? Like, they get fired? Like, they don't work with us anymore. Obviously, like, did they get fired or something? But, they didn't want to tell us.
reason. You can be fired in the US basically because your boss was having a bad day, and they will face zero legal repercussions for this. Turns out Montana is actually the only state in the entire country that doesn't technically operate this way. Shout out to Montana.
Not gonna lie, I would love to go. I'd love to live there. A lot of mountains. Can get pretty chilly up there, which is nice. The only issue I'm very nervous about, bears.
The only exceptions to this rule in the US are discrimination-based. You can't be fired based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, or gender identity, national origin, age, if you're 40 or older, disability, and genetic information, including family medical history. You can't be fired for reporting.
And that's why when you fill out an application and everything for like a job in the game industry or something, I know for sure I've seen in the game industry. But any other place probably, they say like they always had that section, are you a protected veteran, which means like, do you have like a disability, you know, are you getting money from the VA and stuff, do you have a disability, and then if you check yes and everything like that, I don't know, usually I don't hear anything back from said companies, but if you don't, then usually they're like, well, we can hire this person and then we can probably let them go, type of thing. It's so crappy.
Sexual harassment. You can't be fired for whistleblowing, and you can't be fired for union activity. Otherwise, game owned by Japanese company didn't meet sales projections? Cool, let's lay off the Americans, because it is incredibly easy to do so. Get them out of here. There are some protections in place regarding layoffs specifically, but it's just you must give employees notice and pay and give them insurance for a specific amount of time. It's genuinely really depressing. It feels like the US and European employees are like stock market fodder for,
like, the crazy thing is when it comes to the layoffs and stuff, usually like 10 years ago, layoffs were always there. Layoffs were a thing. But it only happened at the end of the year. At the end of the year or the beginning of next year. During Christmas, New Year's is usually when the layoffs happen. And then there's people that get hired. There's other people that get hired, or they just maintain the workforce that they have, and then they just carry on. That's it. But we have been seeing it where it has been very inconsistent, and it's like almost on a monthly basis somebody's getting laid off.
Companies headquartered in countries where they aren't allowed to treat employees like actual trash. But even Europe, which of course also varies a ton by country, generally has much stronger worker protections than the US.
Yeah. And then the crazy thing is, I don't know if she might say it, but crazy thing is like 50% of this it's from GDC, I believe, from last year. 50%. No, was it last year or this year? I can't remember. But 50% of Europe do not want to work in the game industry because of layoffs, because of because of the potential result of them being laid off, which kind of makes sense.
China has actually developed a sort of term for their criticism of US treatment of workers and people in general. You may have heard of this. It's called the kill line. This is a term that originated on Chinese.
Wait, the kill line. What America looks like on Chinese social media. The kill line is the invisible threshold in American society where a single financial, medical, or employment shock pushes an otherwise stable person into rapid, irreversible collapse because the system offers little protection or recovery once that line is crossed. I mean, that seems possible. Yeah. Because if it's like financial struggles, yeah. Medical, like can't pay your medical bills or can't pay for medicine. Yeah, that's a huge problem. And then also employment. Yeah. Can't seek employment because, and the thing is, they all kind of go together. Mainly financial. Like financial, can't afford your medicine, can't get employment because you can't either get to a said place. You either don't have money to take the bus. Usually you would have to walk, and by the time you get to that place for your interview and everything, you're all hot and you're all sweaty and everything, and you smell bad, and people probably don't want to deal with that. things like that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Social media. This is so brutal. It kind of refers to a threshold at which a productive middle-class person living in the US is only one single medical, financial, or legal struggle away from irreversible collapse. They posit that most Americans live on this kill line. Most are just one disaster or really bad day away from immense debt and potentially homelessness, and this is a result of lack of social security systems or safety nets across the board. The at-will employment system clearly contributes here, and it means that a lot of the rest of the world, including games industry professionals globally, including working in Asia, see the US system as just incredibly brutal. I mean, I personally have terrible insurance that I pay $500 a month out of pocket for, and if I were to get into an accident...
Yeah, same here. I had to pay like over $400 worth of car insurance. Never been in an accident or anything. I've never been in an accident, didn't get no speeding tickets or anything like that. But I got to pay $300 or $400 because of where I live. There are people that cannot drive, and so I am paying because I am paying me and a whole bunch of other people that are safe drivers have to pay at a higher price. We'll have to pay at a much higher price because there are people out there that are young as hell that cannot drive, or super old that cannot drive, and they cause accidents. Yeah, sounds stupid, right? It is.
And lose a limb, I think I would have spent my life savings probably within the first hour of being hospitalized. Like, the ambulance ride itself would wipe up my entire bank account. That's why it's like GoFundMe or nothing in the US, really. If you weren't good at socializing in the US, honestly, you're kind of screwed. Like, better hope you have some friends who are willing to write a nice paragraph about you and share a link, my guy. That's how it works here. If not, guess you'll just... die. But speaking of fun cultural quirks like dying because you weren't friendly enough, Japan specifically has some fun ways around not being able to legally lay people off. If by fun I mean basically torture, which, you know, at this point, if it's torture or being laid off, considering everything we just spoke about, I'm going with the workplace torture. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in Japan, obviously. They basically just have different means of dealing with these ongoing struggles in the industry. Madogawa is a term that means seats by the windows, where certain employees...
Japanese or workplace phenomenon being sidelined to a desk by the window. Origin, Japanese term referring to employees often older who are given little meaningful work and seated near the office window. Sounds like a boss, like a VP or the president. Let's see. Associated theories: psychological contract breach, career plateauing, motivational theories, how HR can use this. Reskilling and upskilling initiatives, job redesign efforts, flexible career pathways, and structured retirement planning.
Whether that is employees that are not performing well professionally, or
sorry, my camera was in the way, but I was just reading all this stuff.
Literally pushed to seats by windows because it's so difficult to fire people. So I asked Shuhei Yoshida specifically about this because there aren't a ton of official sources on the topic, and he said these employees are given no daily tasks and are encouraged to find new jobs outside the company. They are still paid by the company, so some employees just spend time in the seats doing nothing and collect salaries, but others use this time to find new jobs outside the company. Basically, they try to bore people until they leave. Companies also work around these restrictions by relying more heavily on contractors. It's much...
That's crazy because then you can just, like, say for instance you're working in a studio, right, and you're just playing like your competitor's game on the computer. That'd be crazy.
Easy to cut contractors, being that they could just not renew contracts, same in the US. And even beyond that, a reduction in outsourced contractors, being that so work around these restrictions by relying more heavily on contractors. It's much...
Debunking the myth of contract work in Japan, Job Seekers Edition. The market for contract recruiting is expected to grow even further in the near future, which means a higher demand for workers and freelancers. Yeah. If you are a candidate who is interested in more flexible working arrangement and one that potentially pays you higher, please feel free to contact us via the form below. We will be able to explain to you the benefits, that's what I'm guessing, in greater detail and advise you on the career path that you should take based on your goals. You may also choose to sign up for our upcoming webinars and be part of our contractor community. Yeah. So what was she saying about contractors?
Until they leave. Companies also work around these restrictions by relying more heavily on contractors. It's much easier to cut contractors, being that they could just not renew contracts, same in the US. And even beyond that, a reduction in outsourcing has actually made it look like the workforce has not diminished in Asia because full-time employees have not been affected, but overall jobs actually have. So considering all of this, that they are still attempting...
Yeah, a lot of people are getting a lot of... I know QA has been pretty much obsolete, is no longer a thing in North America, in the US. They're all outsourced. EA has, for Apex Legends, EA has Bogota, Colombia, and then for Battlefield they have like Barbados, the Caribbean, like they have them. And it's because they can pay them a flat, to be honest, they can pay them a flat payout. Because like when I was working there, everybody got paid the same. Everybody got a flat out $15 an hour. In the US, that's not going to do anything. Not really going to do much. You would still have to get another job outside of that, or get a better job. But I think like Caribbean, like Barbados, and I believe like Colombia, $15 an hour is like really good. It's really good for them. So
various ways to get rid of people in a just significantly more challenging legal system.
Why? Apparently they hired a Mexico team too.
This ties into Japan's post-war lifetime employment system. When gone back to World War II. After World War II, Japan had to rebuild an economy that had been devastated by war while also rapidly industrializing. So Japanese companies built this model where they recruited workers straight out of university, trained them internally extensively, and sort of as an exchange expected them to stay with the company for most of their careers, if not their entire careers. This culture...
That'd be cool if we had that, because all we have somewhat close to that is internships. That's it.
Varies person to person.
Where basically you work and you don't get paid. You just get the experience. You don't get paid for it.
Company to company, and isn't as prevalent as it once was, but it's still a very...
And you don't get, and there's a high possibility that you do not keep that job after when you graduate. Like going into an actual like full-on career and being paid.
Very significant difference to how Western countries tend to approach the job market. And there are huge upsides. Shuhei said, Japanese employees in the traditional Japanese companies tend to see the company they work for as more than the place that they get income, but see it as a community they belong to. They believe management and other employees are community members, and harmony is very important for everyone. Which, yeah, sounds kind of lovely. There are also, obviously, downsides. Japan is notorious for its insane work hours, for example, and for the corporations themselves, it is actually notorious.
More than 80 hours of overtime per month, with 1 in 5 at risk of karoshi, whether through having a stroke, heart attack, or stress-induced suicide. Yeah, honestly, I can see that. I can see that because of it's probably because of the cost of living over there too. Maybe.
For its insane work hours, for example, and for the corporations themselves, it has actually made the job market uniquely very, very competitive. On this, Shuhei said, as the number of new graduates from universities reduces every year, companies in the competitive industry, like the video game industry, find the only way to hire talented new graduates is to raise salaries. The ex-Nintendo employee that I spoke to said, raises are part of an ongoing effort to both cultivate loyalty and project an image of job security in order to attract the best possible candidates. Because Japanese workers will often stay at companies until retirement age, which is around 60 in Japan, you have to impress talented workers from before they even join if you ever wish to work with them. An added challenge here is that their population is pretty rapidly shrinking. And
it's funny, like if we followed this, I believe if most of these Western industries or studios followed this same model, like we would actually have steady or potentially better games to come out, and it would obviously keep people employed, and also potentially break even, like for these companies break even or make profit. Actually, like instead of being like a dime a dozen of a game that actually does really good, like an Expedition 33, you know, out of all the other games that just have not been done well, you would get games more like back in the 360 era, where it was like, oh my goodness, Halo 3 is coming out. Then it was like, oh, we have Gears of War that's going to be coming out. Oh, on top of that, then we have another Splinter Cell game. We have a Ghost Recon game. Let's just say with just Ubisoft, like Ubisoft, for a prime example, you had Assassin's Creed, you had Rainbow Six, you had Ghost Recon, you had did I say Splinter Cell? Splinter Cell, Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, like those 4 games, like already, like those games are already ready to come out, and people are like, I don't even know which game to get. Now it's like, now we're living in a time where it's like, okay, there's these sets of games that coming out, but it's like, is it good? You know, is it worth buying? Like now, a lot of people are cautiously optimistic, which rightfully so, because it's like, why do I want to spend $70 or $80 on a game that is not finished, that comes out usually buggy, and which results in needing a day one patch? That's not good. So.
Thus, their recruitment tactics have become even more competitive. The Japanese population has gone down by 3 million people in the last 5 years, which is pretty wild. So basically, Japanese companies have been trying to be as appealing as possible to high-quality workers, lest they not be able to access them at all, ever. This is helpful to the Japanese games industry in another way. It might seem obvious, but retaining talent is especially valuable in long-term creative projects like game development. And I mean literally valuable, like monetarily valuable. The Japanese producer that I spoke to said that the cost of hiring a brand new employee in order to replace someone who has left would be over $100,000 in Japan. The loss of experience and company understanding is one thing, but time and investment needed to train someone new into a non-junior role is another, especially when Japanese companies very regularly train their employees across multiple disciplines. And yeah, I mean, it takes years and years to replace this kind of expertise, which is akin to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Final Fantasy Remake Trilogy director Naoki Hamaguchi recently told Bloomberg that staff retention is one of the main reasons he thinks that the trilogy has been so successful, and that they've been able to produce these huge games so quickly. Which, yeah, games are not factories where you can just swap one guy for another guy and get the same output. A senior designer, a programmer.
Yep, look at Assassin's Creed. Look at how Assassin's Creed is. I mean, I hate to say it. Look at Halo. Look what happened to Halo. You know, going from Bungie to 343, like you can tell like there was a major shift in how the game is made and everything like that. Like there was a huge shift. And then same thing happened with Gears. Like Gears started going that way too. Like after when Cliff Bleszinski stopped working on the games, stopped developing the Gears games, there was a big change, big shift to it. And people were like, no, hell no. We want to have a good game. We really want a good game to come back. Look at Battlefield. Battlefield was doing the same thing. Like there's a big shift because the people that used to work on Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 in Hardline no longer work there. That's why I always keep saying. That's why I always keep having that saying. New developers, new game. New developers, new game. I don't even care if you swap out one person. Still, new developers, new game. There's going to be something that is going to change that game.
Or artist or writer has years of institutional knowledge about why something works the way it does at a certain studio in a certain engine and what has failed before, thus what mistakes not to make again. This is the kind of knowledge that people don't really tend to write down. Somebody's lived experience that really only lives in their brains. You lose all of these things with layoffs. Just how weird that only Japanese CEOs seem to have figured this out. But yeah, it means that their potential for high quality games is
because they don't like losing money. That's what it is. They do not like losing money. They actually like seeing the success of their studios and the company. And they know that if they were to lose, and this is just my thoughts, if they were to lose an employee that is very valuable, which they literally look at everybody as a valuable asset, right? I believe that everybody looks like the CEO of the Japanese CEO of a company or a studio looks at every employee as like an actual valuable asset, not just, a number or something like that you can just easily take off or whatever. That's what's going on there pretty much. Finney, what's going on? I legit installed Battlefield 6 and hid that from my library. Oh, why? What happened there?
Higher, which could inherently lead to less layoffs. A wonderful cycle. Japanese leadership also seems to think employee morale is valuable for some reason, which, why? In 2013, Satoru Iwata famously cut his salary by 50% in order to protect employees from job cuts after the Wii U sold poorly. He said,
yes,
we reduce the number.
This right here, live by the sword, die by the sword. This person was willing to take This person was willing to take, take a pay cut for months because they wanted their employees to still stay employed at the company. This is when the Wii U just didn't do well. SBMM, my dude, 100 games with 17 matches that were possible wins, not actual wins, but possible wins, even close to even games. See, that's why I don't even play for the wins anymore. I don't.
For employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease, and I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. He continued, I also know that some employers publicize their restructuring plan to improve their financial performance by letting a number of their employees go. But at Nintendo, employees make valuable contributions in their respective fields, so I believe that laying off a group of employees will not help to strengthen Nintendo's business in the long run.
Like if you have somebody that works on like if you have people that work on the game, oh god, what was it? If people are working on not the game, on a system, on like a Nintendo system, and they worked on the memory, like how the game, like the operating system, the memory of that Nintendo system, like the Wii, I guess you say, or like the controller. We'll say with the controllers, and like how well it was, like the like there's no latency, like the connectivity was great and things like that. You're not gonna want to get rid of that person, because then if you laid off that team that made the Wii mote, right, and you hire another team, and it just like the console comes out and they're like the controller's crap, and people result to like third-party controllers. Yeah, you lost somebody that was pretty valuable there, So also, what's the video link, dude? Oh, after all this, I'll put it in.
Studies back this up. Oxford found that workers are 13% more productive when happy. They work faster, harder, take less sick days, have a positive impact on the other employees around them, and are less likely to leave. Who'd have thought? Crazy. Hidetaka Miyazaki, the president of From Software, also agreed with Iwata, saying, I think it was the old ex-president of Nintendo, Iwata-san, who said that people who are afraid of losing their jobs are afraid of making good things. I'm paraphrasing that, but I totally share this fear.
Wait, who said who that are afraid of losing their jobs are afraid of making good things? Yeah, it does make sense. Like, I would say this: people that are afraid of losing their jobs, they cannot actually. They do not use the full. They don't make the games at their full potential. I think that's what it is. Like, because again, just think about it. You're hired working at Santa Monica Studios, working on the next God of War, right? You were excited about this. You're like super happy, ready to work on the next God of War game. But then you hear that layoffs are on the way. Layoffs are about to happen. In the back of your mind, as you're developing this game, in the back of your mind, you're like, am I gonna be one of the people that get called up to get laid off? Is it me? That lingers in the back of your mind, which messes with your mind, which is gonna affect you of working. Because you're distracted. You're constantly worrying about this instead of having your full attention and thoughts going into making this game. You have that little voice in the back of your head saying, it's gonna be your time. That's it. Your dreams are crushed. And it messes with people. They're afraid of trying to innovate and make good titles at the risk of innovation flopping. They just need to stop. I would say they need to stop doing trends. I would say that they just need to stop doing trends, because everything that is trendy, right? What they do is they basically scrap everything that they have done to go for a trend. Look at Rainbow Six Siege, for example. Rainbow Six Siege, or Rainbow Six in general, was a terrorist hunt game. You go in, you go in, you eliminate terrorists. If you eliminate all of them, cool. You beat that level. If you didn't, or if you died, you didn't. Obviously, you failed, right? They had it for a very long time. Yes, they still had some PvP in there, but they had it for a very long time. But then Rainbow Six Siege, after year 6, year 8, I think, one of those, they got rid of terrorist hunt. They cut away from it. Why? Because they wanted to lean more into esports. Now, esports, are they doing well? Seems like it, because they're still going. But people, like, it alienated a lot of people and cut off a lot of people that enjoyed it for Terrace Hunt. I was a huge Terrace Hunt person. But thank goodness Void Interactive picked up on it. They said, hey, they like these people really loved, eliminating terrorists and stuff in the game. But they no longer have a game to play. Why don't we make a game? And what did they make? They made Ready or Not, which is just like Rainbow Six Terrorist Hunt. But the thing is, it's more technical now. It's like, yeah, you reload, you check your ammo, you have to make sure you have a certain kit, to do things. You can't just, go in willy-nilly with anything. That's the other thing. So, also the idea, if I lose my job, I'm not going to invest my energy on a waste. Yeah, exactly. Agreed. Trend chasing needs to stop. As it takes 4+ years to make a game based on a trend that might not be around. Yeah. By the time they say, oh, this is a trend, and they work on the game, that trend could be dead. That trend could be dead in a year. And then you just wasted like hundreds of millions of dollars, or you wasted tens of millions of dollars on that said trend. It's just like with Halo. Halo Campaign Evolved. That was the easiest layup ever to make the greatest, like to bring Halo somewhat back. But what did they do? They said, hey, we're gonna cut out the multiplayer, which killed HCS, and we're going to do co-op only, because why? The trend right now is friend slot. Like a whole bunch of co-op games are the future. That's what everybody's looking at right now, is co-op. Look at Marathon. It's a trend chasing game for a niche genre. Yeah. They were saying that it is a what was it, extraction shooter. Fine. But then they said the developers themselves, I'll have to look for it another time. But the developers themselves, they said it's a PvP, it's a PvP with a PvE component to it. So PvPvE or PvEVP. You know what I'm saying? People ask, and then people ask in a Q&A, is there ever going to be a PvE component? They said no. There's strictly going to be PvPvE. Yeah. And if it's something that you do not like, this game may not be for you. The game is not for you. But then, as you see the controversy that has happened before even the game release, the controversy that happened when they did their alpha test or the beta test, and then Arc Raiders said the following day, they said, hey, we're gonna do our alpha test, and somehow stole all Marathon's player base to go play Arc Raiders. That was kind of eye-opening. That should have been eye-opening for them. Then they had the controversy of somebody that used to work there stole art assets from a artist. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, it got resolved. It did, but guess what? The reputation is still damaged. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't heal anything. Like once it's out in public eye, it is bad. It's a bad thing, because public opinion, it doesn't go away. It doesn't. So there was that happened, right? So that's gonna drop the player base down too. Game release, what it made, it got to 89,000, 88,000 the very first day, and then ever since that first day, it just kept going down and down and down and down and down and down. They had a little spike when they had that free to play week, but guess what? There was already controversy that happened there too, because Bungie said they're gonna stop developing. They're gonna stop with the development of Destiny 2. So no more updates. They had the final update that came out, and everybody went over to play Destiny 2, which blew up, had like over 100,000 players for a very long time. And then those numbers from Marathon were like at 40,000, 50,000, and then it dropped back down again. Oh, and then sorry, going back to the whole PvPvE, right? They said that they were not going to do that. Just recently, they released a PvE component to the game, which again, for me, makes me laugh, because it's like, you went back on your word. You said this is only going to be a PvPvE, and you told people that with your whole chest, and now it's like, and now you're screwed, because you went back on your word, and people are like, okay, so now you're just going to fall back on everything. Sorry, I'm curious. I'm curious about Destiny 2. I know Marathon. 16,000. Yeah, 16,000. This was when they did the update, and it's slowly going back down. Okay. People had their fun. Yeah. 20 months ago, a month ago. Yeah, and it's slowly going back down. But yeah, the Marathon it's insane. It is insane to see.
Yeah. Basically, Japanese companies are not magically immune from the financial struggles the games industry is facing, nor are they any more charitable than American companies. They are still laying off plenty of people. A company is a company is a company. Really, they're just operating under different legal parameters and a different business culture in general. It is much easier, almost infinitely easier, to lay someone off in the US from a legal standpoint, and doing so doesn't fly in the face of a long-established corporate culture that really focuses on long-term employee retention. There are, of course, as alluded to, many downsides of not being able to fire workers who aren't performing, and Japanese workers still have their fair share of mistreatment. But I will say it's pretty difficult to argue against one of them. People can surely build better games when they don't spend every morning wondering if they're the next one to get fired.
Exactly. And that's why people don't like it. That's why people are upset about it. All right. So that is Alanah Pearce, or AKA Char Alanahzard. Let me go ahead and drop this in the chat. There's the link. There you go. Yeah, I don't know why people are upset about her. I didn't see anything in there. Yeah, I didn't see anything in there about her not liking the America. So I don't know why. Somebody said something, and then that caught wind, and everybody's like all upset about it. So hold on, let me see here, because now let me see if I can see it on I want to look this up. Because a lot of people are talking about it. Okay, so put some music on. All right, so yeah, former God of War writer Alanah Pearce spoke with Shuhei Yoshida about why Japanese game developers often have more job security than developers in the West. One big reason is the labor laws. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I don't see anything. Maybe Japanese devs have more job security because they don't have people like Alanah Pearce meddling with them and making their lives hell. Again, I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, I gotta be very cautious of what is here. Like 100%, they have already had a Destiny 3 out. They were really in talks about Destiny 3. I remember that. Yeah, I know they were in a lot of talks with Destiny 3 and everything, but I don't think they had it in development. They had a lot. I know they had a story for Destiny 2 with like I think 3 raids with it. They had a story and it was like crazy. Oh wait, she has lied about her accolades for years. Oh, this is it. This is the one I saw and I was like, what the heck? But I wanted to watch the video and like see it for myself. So it said Alanah Pearce says America sucks when it comes to job security, especially in the video game industry. In her latest video, she examines why the US Europe has seen huge gaming layoffs since 2022, while Japan has largely avoided similar cuts, which is the video we saw we just saw. Her main point is that it comes down to both law and culture. In the U.S., at will employment makes it relatively easy for companies to lay people off. Japan has much stronger protections for permanent workers, making layoffs far more difficult. Japanese companies also tend to value keeping experienced employees more. That matters in game development, where losing a veteran developer can mean losing years of knowledge and experience. Yeah, so I don't get it. So like, she didn't say America sucks. She just compared it. She compared the U.S., like the U.S. and Europe, to Japan, to Japan and China, what they're doing when it comes to jobs. Unless I missed it somewhere in the video, but I did not hear or see her say anything about America sucks. I mean, we can all see with the US, with the US in the game industry, that yeah, it's very difficult to find a job and land a job in the game industry, because we don't know, it's a hire at will, or it's an at will, so meaning that you could just get cut like that. Simple. Some people are just conflating her comments with US hate because they don't like her, but there are other reasons to dislike her beyond fabricated statements, like her own fabricated statements. Yeah, I've heard things about that. I just haven't looked into it. People had said some stuff like she said that she worked on, the one I heard before was she worked on God of War. I don't think she said she was a developer, but she said she worked on God of War, and people were like, "Oh, did you work on God of War?" And she said, "Yeah, she's a writer for God of War." And then people were looking at her in the credits and were like, "We're looking at the writer section. Your name's not there." But then apparently she's part of the accessibility part of it or something like that. And I was like, okay, interesting. So I looked up mine. For mine, I was like, at least for mine, I was like, this is for Battlefield. And you can go into Battlefield. You can go to Battlefield right now. I'm right here. I'm this number. That's me right there. I was so excited. Yeah. I was so excited that I was like, oh, holy crap, I'm there. I remember when, before my contract ended and stuff like that, I remember when my contract ended, we talked, what do you call it? No, we talked about it. Our manager told us, they were like, "Hey, we got a surprise for you guys." And we're like, "What?" And then we looked at I already bought Battlefield and everything, and I was ready to play the campaign and everything. And I saw it and I was like, no way. Yeah, I was so excited. I was so stoked. I was so stoked that I was like, wait, I'm literally in the game. That's why I say that's one of the biggest deals I have, when it comes to, the fuck is this? Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I have when it comes to there. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm trying to see. I had another one. I'm on my LinkedIn right now to look at it. Images. Yeah, images. Okay. Nope, not that. Here's another one. This is when I was contracted at EA. Originally I was contracted at EA to work on Apex Legends. And then the Battlefield one was a bonus because we were able to test that. Bro, just notice your eye. Wait, bro, just noticed your eye. Something in your... What? Yeah. The white part of your eye. Oh. Hold on. I think is it this one? Is this eye? No, or is this one? Oh, I can't. Hold on. Right It's kind of hard to see with the camera. Something red. Oh no, there's like a one that's like a big blotch in there, and then part of my part of my eye is red because of constant eye strain when I was in the military. But it's in this eye, I think. Yeah. There. Yeah, that's from the military. It's when I was sleep when I was if you guys want to hear the story about this, it's when I was in the army, stationed at Fort Campbell. I didn't know what a tick was. I never heard of a tick or anything. I never knew what a tick was. One night I woke up because we were in the field. And our tent was in a tall grass area and it was wet, damp, and all that stuff. And I woke up and I was like, something is tickling my eye. I don't know what it is. And what happened was I woke up and I was like, let me just go to the medics. I went to the medics and said, hey, there's something in my eye. It's really, it's like tickling my eye and I don't know what it is. I don't want to rub it. I'm not sure what it is. So they said, okay, open your eye. And they opened my eye. There's a tick in my eye. And a tick, they didn't bite down. It didn't bite down all the way into my eye, but it bit like part of my eye. And they were able to get it out. They're like, thank goodness you keep, like, they're like, glad you came in, like, glad, like, this woke you up and you came over, because, like, if it burrowed his head in your eye, it would have been pretty bad. Yeah. But yeah, they got the tick. It was just like, it kind of like, just like, because they had the little chompers, it kind of just was doing this to my eye. It wasn't like, it didn't burrow in. So I was like, whew. So yeah, now I have that mark. Yeah, that would have blinded you. Yeah. So thank goodness because I remember when I got LASIK eye surgery, because I was still wearing glasses, but then a few years later when I got LASIK eye surgery, like 4 years later, they were like, hey, you noticed that thing in your eye? I was like, yeah. So I had a tick in my eye, and they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, I had a tick in my eye. And that's like the mark it left. So I'm like, they're like, yeah, you could have went blind. I was like, I know. So this is a constant reminder that I could have went blind. Yeah. So now people are like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, that's a tick bite. And they're like, a tick bite? I was like, yeah, I woke up with a tick in my eye. Could have went blind, but thank God I didn't. Yeah, it would have spat whatever disease into your eye. Yeah, I could have had Lyme. I don't know if anybody has ever had Lyme disease in their eye, but that would have been bad. But the thing is, ticks, when they bite into like your skin and they inflate like that, when they bite down into like your skin and then they inflate, like the body inflates and the head's burrowed in there, it's been in there for like a few hours, possibly a few days. Is usually when it happens. It's not like an instant thing. So, at least I know, dude. Sorry, I thought I don't know if you see something, say something, you know, especially health wise. Oh no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, and also like my eyes are like the top and the bottom of my eyes are white, but in the middle, because like I was in the military and constantly looking at a screen the whole time, they have no like blue light filtered glasses or anything. And I'm looking at it hours on end. I have a really, really, really bad eye strains. So it's funny because like even like the parts, like just like look like how I'm looking right now, it's not the whitest part of my eye. It's kind of yellow. It's kind of like it's like a smaller shade. Eyes got tanned, yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then people are like, well, what about the bags in your eyes? That has been a thing since birth. I thought it was like, dang, I was stressed out or something. No, I couldn't find it. I looked at baby pictures. I had bags in my eyes when I was a baby. I was like, damn, it is insane. Yeah, it's an insane thing. But anyway, yeah, going back to this, yeah, I was a QA tester also for Apex Legends. Again, I was contracted. So, and when I said, oh, there you go, like in the video, is because, yeah, I was contracted working at EA. Downside to it is that, downside to contracting at EA is once your contract ends, that's it. It's just done deal. Can't do anything else about it. So, but yeah. So, yep. I was so excited. After a month of working with the team, we were all excited that season 22 of Apex Legends was released. Yeah, great time. Now, if I see it now, because it's been multiple seasons, now they're on season 30 now. If I go there, like all our names are gone, obviously. But I took a screenshot and everything. I was like, oh, yep, let me go ahead and like put that in there. It's awesome. It was an awesome time. Is there anything else I have? No. Oh, this is when I was at TwitchCon. Yeah, I was at TwitchCon in Vegas. And I got to talk to the senior game designer for 7 Days to Die. And I got a cool, well, I was wearing it earlier, but I got a 7 Days to Die t-shirt. He's like, you want a t-shirt? And I was like, sure. I was like, I thought I was gonna give him money for it, but he was like, no, take it. Here, take it. And I was like, okay, cool, sick. So it's pretty cool. And then this is when I was a host, not a host. I was a field reporter, which was awesome. And then this is Bennett, who is the director of esports for the college I went to. And he was one who was like, yo, so if you go to, he's like our esports have a stream team. I was like, really? Because I was like, I don't want to compete or anything. And he's like, yeah, we have an esports team or we have a content creator team. And I was like, oh, cool, that's sick. So then that's what I did. And I learned a lot from him, and it was sick. Bossy, what's going on? I lurk. Well, you were under the radar, and now you kind of went away. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's that. Dude, I feel bad. I feel bad for like one of my colleagues that obviously I went to college with. He works at Insomniac, and there's another person that works at Santa Monica Studios. One works at Insomniac, and he was super excited to work on a game, and I was like, oh, okay. Found out he worked on the Wolverine game, and what I've been seeing lately about Wolverine, the Wolverine title and things like that, I'm like, dang, that sucks. Like, that really sucks. So yeah, there's all that's going on. And then another coworker of mine that which I thought was cool, he is working at he basically worked on Mortar Shell 2, and I was like, oh, that's sick. That's pretty bad. I was like, that's really badass. So I was like, that's really cool. Really, really cool. Alrighty. It's my internet's doing the shit again. Well, hopefully tomorrow it doesn't do that. So how? Hold on. Dude, it is draining. Yeah, it is. The connection, holy. Hold on, guys. I'm like constantly looking at these the frames are just dropping and dropping and dropping. It's pretty crazy. While we're waiting, let me check rewards. All right, let's see here. Okay. Take to the skies. Oh, okay. Sea to the seas. Mach 4 silver. Okay. It's not bad. Fresh hardware. I still need to do ranking up Mach 4 gold. So I can still get a good amount of stuff here. Yeah. All right. Okay. I think we do. Yeah, too far. Sweet. All right, let me try this. All right. That. Um. That's not gonna make any changes. Yeah, that made no change in it at all. And buffering and yeah.